Joining us tonight from Kampala and also from Nairobi, Kenya. First from Kampala is Fifi Fiona. She is a senior sports producer and presenter and commentator and show host with MBBS Sports. No, that's Fifi. Yes, that is Fifi. But the other person that you saw on your screen is actually a good friend of ours. She was here early on this year, and yes, with a smile and cheek, beautiful, radiant Nairobi smile. Lynn Wachira, who's a sports reporter from Nairobi, Kenya. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. It's I'm having goosebumps, and my heart is really broken because it seems as if there is a campaign against female athletes, and I don't understand what is going on. But let's start with the latest, most pressing issue. And let me come to you, Fifi. The story of Cheptegei is heartrending, and we hear that the issue had to do with, I think, a dispute over property, landed property, a house and land with her ex-boyfriend, and he doused her with petrol right in front of her children coming back from church. This is amazing. What's been the reaction in Uganda following this?
It's quite sad that this is taking place and going on for a long time. Of course, it happens a lot that is elsewhere, but because we are centering on sports, that's why we are picking out Rebecca Cheptegei, I think the second Ugandan after if you remember, Benjamin Chiplangat, that is in December 2023, was also found dead with something like a knife on his neck. So I cannot say it's due to insecurity, but I can also, like you said, is it something about female athletes? No, I think generally in societies, and that is Africa, where you are in Nigeria, where she was stabbed, that is in Kenya. Of course, Uganda, not registering such cases, but in Kenya. And of course, Ugandans, Rebecca being the second after Chiplangat, but then when it comes to the female, I've read a report, there are very, very many in the different industries. But then for sports, Rebecca, why? Because she's an athlete and can attract international news, like, of course, we are on TV today. Why it happens
Let me come to you, Lynn. Lynn, are you still there? Lynn, I have a report here that says violence against women has become a growing concern in Kenya, and a national survey in 2022 revealed that at least 34% of women reported experiencing physical violence, highlighting obviously the urgent need for systemic changes to protect women and prevent such acts of violence. So I want to ask you, Lynn, is it as if it's obvious, it's clear that it's female athletes that are being targeted, but the question here is why?
Well, that's a very difficult question. When you ask why, it's clear there's a pattern. And first of all, I mean, it's been really sad. In Kenya, it's been anger, it's been uproar, but then that quickly turned into helplessness, because, there are all these women who now feel like it could happen to me. I mean, it happened to Rebecca, it happened to Tirop, it happened to Damaris, it happened to Mudhoni. This is something that could happen, and there's a pattern because, we are speaking about deaths that have been happening in the hands of these athletes, partners, husbands, ex-boyfriends. So what is causing this? I don't know. It's complex, but then also not super complex, because in most of the cases, two of the cases, looking at Cheptegei, for example, at the center of this domestic row was a piece of land and and a house as well. And there had been a reported case at the authorities where both of them were fighting over these two properties, everybody claiming ownership, and they had literally been asked to go back, the next week, which is this week on Monday, they had been asked to go back showing proof, show me how you paid for the property. And in Agnes Tirop's case, remember, another Olympic year as well in 2021, a few months, I think about 3 months after the 2021 Tokyo Olympic Games, where Tirop was a participant, she was found stabbed in her house, where she shared the house with her husband. And also at the center of everything was property. It was cars, it was land, it was a house. It takes you back to, there's a pattern, right? So we are seeing a trend where there's probably a group of men who prey on the athletes, the young upcoming athletes. They come in as, let me help you as a coach. Let me help you as as a pace setter. Let me help you organize yourself around your training and all that. And then, eventually this happens, the guys are there, they're controlling. And we come from Africa where the society is mainly patriarchal, and looking at where most of the Kenyan athletes also come from, they come from the rural areas where patriarchy levels are, over the roof. And when a woman obviously is more financially empowered, then there's a power imbalance. And there's a power imbalance, and you can see that this has come to play. Look at Rebecca's case, for example.
Really sorry to cut you short, Lynn. I think Fifi is back now. Fifi, let's look at these issues one by one. It's horrendous. Stabbings, a throat slit with a machete, strangulation, dousing with petrol and setting up. These are deep-seated. You have to have deep-seated animosity, anger against the person in order to be able to carry out these kind of crimes. It's not something done from afar. You have to look into the whites of the eyes of these persons to carry it out. And just like I asked Lynn, what do you think is behind all this?
She's been spot on for some of the issues. I can only compliment by saying there are men who don't want to work. That is one. And then we go back to these settings, that is with our ancestors saying women will not eat chicken. Those things. Women are not supposed to work, and when they do, the money they make should go to the men. For me, I think that's where the imbalance comes in, because some men feel the women don't deserve what they have earned. Take a case for Rebecca. She's number 44 in the marathon. She's been running all her life. She's 33. She's trying to pick up. She's the breadwinner for the family. Some men, actually, for me, feel belittled and think, no, she may not own this. Most of misunderstandings come in from who owns the property, like they said. But for me, what beats my understanding is when it comes to Kenya and Uganda, there is similarity in leadership. That is at the village levels, parish, sub-counties. They are chairmen supposed to handle this. And I'm reliably told from Mr. Dominic Otchep, the Uganda Athletics President, the Uganda Athletics Federation President, he says these people had a case like she had told us. But then if there are red flags, you've seen them, something's about to happen. Why don't you solve the issue? Because I'm told this jilted lover, Dixon, followed Cheptegei back to Uganda, all in the name of, you give me the land title, it doesn't belong to you, this agreement, and you just see simple things, property, small land titles, and you take someone's life. For me, I really think that not all the men, because some of the men have tried to keep up, they know what a woman's worth is. In the current times we have, the women who are working, you decide on the mode of, taking care of the home. If this, the lady is bringing in this much, this is taking care of this, but there are some men, like I said, who feel belittled that the lady, is the breadwinner. If she's breadwinning, then that means she's going to issue a few instructions. True. Then you're not man enough. And then that causes that, because they feel, because how do you explain? For me, the other thing is maybe mentally, we also need to be checked all the time. Much as we are advocating for awareness, we are advocating for, the commitment to keep teaching people what they need to do, to know their worth, to keep telling men that you're men, even if you are poorer than the woman you have at home, we need to keep telling them it's not a crime. True. Because God sometimes doesn't balance life. Okay. Yeah, sometimes I can be the woman, and I'm richer than my husband, boyfriend, fiancé, whoever he is.
It's not a crime.
But he needs to understand.
It's not a crime for a woman to earn more, to be more successful than a husband, as long as there is a great understanding and true partnership and true love between both of them. I totally agree.
Absolutely.
But I have to round this up very quickly. Now, Lynn, I have to ask you very quickly. It seems as a pattern of these men feel somewhat emasculated by the success of their partners. And they resent it. So what should the authorities be doing now? Because it seems as if these women are being specifically targeted. Very quickly, what can the authorities do? And what can these athletes themselves do in order to protect themselves?
I think, first of all, just as a rejoinder to what to what Fifi said. I mean, and because it's connected to your question about what should authorities do. I think there needs to get to a point where these cases cannot just be overlooked. When a case of like a domestic row involving husband and wife is brought to authorities, honestly, they need to be taken seriously, because looking at Rebecca's case, for example, there had been a trail, there had been reporting, there had been harassment, there had been fear. Rebecca feared for her life. She reported to the police station on Saturday. For her to again be set on fire on Sunday, it tells you the authorities should absolutely have taken this case, just a little bit more seriously. And then in terms of what more can be done, obviously that is why a lot of women athletes, a lot of other women, are feeling helpless, because looking at the previous cases in Kenya where, where the intimate partners were suspects, were key suspects in these cases, they have not been completed. These cases are still dragging on. And you know what they say, justice delayed is justice denied. So women are not protected, but then they also don't find justice even when they are killed. So, I mean, that's a problem in its own. But then in terms of, just authorities, athletics federations, all these non-governmental organizations, it's as if there needs to be, a specially targeted curriculum. I don't know, just being taken around, to the female athletes, to the male athletes. And I know the cases are not, unique to athletes, but when you have, 4 athletes in 3 years dying in the hands of their partners, that's a crisis. And I mean, the message is simple and clear. This should definitely stop.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you, Lynn. Finally, Fifi, your response. How do you think that we can tackle this, both on part of the athletes and also the authorities?
I think more awareness, we need not to stop, continue telling them through the different organizations. Like I think for Agnes Trop, there was a foundation set up. I think Trop's girls continue the awareness, that is what, but also severe punishments. Actually, for me, if it was up to me, because I'm really angry and very saddened with what happened. I'm being told Dixon also suffered, I think, 30% of the bans. If it were up to me, let me just go off the journalist beat and go to the humanity beat. You'd leave probably that person to suffer, slowly by slowly, the fingernails go off so that he feels the pain of what he did. But then also, those punishments should be put there and streamlined, that then we have punishments for this kind of criminal offense. And then the cases should be investigated as quickly as possible and the culprits brought to book, because then they will set an example. But as long as justice has not been found, there are other pending cases. Believe me, that gives room to other people to still do the same. Then the other thing, I think generally teaching the men in Africa, let me say Africa because it's a general problem, telling them, like you say, if a lady is more successful, more wealthy, more money, more power, it is not a problem. Try to get along with them and develop as a couple, because it doesn't mean that you're not man enough. You'll keep doing your manly duties, but as long as you feel inferior. The other thing is to educate them, because the men who are doing this, we need to find their level of education, because these men are not only backward in thinking, but they are also men who feel entitled that, yes, Adam came in this life, God created him, and now a man is man. Wow. And that is why they feel entitled to do such, because how do you infringe something like that on someone's daughter? The family, the 2 children she's left behind.
I can imagine the tremendous amount of pain, yes.
Yeah, so that, for me, I believe severe punishment actually could be one of the first things to be done for the other those who think could do that in future to get a very big lesson. I
agree, a major deterrent, because, and also like you and Lynn also said, justice delayed is justice denied. Unless these cases are swiftly dispensed with and justice is seen to be done as quickly as possible, it might encourage a lot more men to follow in this same pattern. We've been speaking with Fifi Fiona from Kampala and our good friend Lynn Wachira from Nairobi. Thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight. It was a sad occasion, but hopefully we can get justice as quickly as possible for these slain athletes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.